So the film that I'm recommending is a film I watched today, and it's a
Wow,
film
hot off
that
the presses.
hot off the presses. It was a film that came out last year that I really wanted to watch because I really like the director's work, and that is the film The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is written and directed and starring Jim Cummings. Not that Jim Cummings who voices Winnie the Pooh. It's a different Jim Cummings. He directed a movie called Thunder Road. It's not a Bruce Springsteen biopic, but it's a film. He made a short film called Thunder Road, which is all done in one shot, and it's about a police officer giving a eulogy at his mother's funeral, and then slowly breaking down and then dancing really embarrassingly to Thunder Road. And basically, the short film is the first scene of the movie. I mean, I really like Thunder Road. It's it's a film that I really relate to, and I like just mainly with the main character and how he is in regards to like I like the way that the film portrays this kind of sympathetic view of anxiety and stress and mental illness. And I think, Jim Cummings is a very inspirational person in the world of indie filmmaking in regards to how, it's basically, no one is going to make your movie. You can only make your movie. The only way you're going to get your movie made that you want to see, you just have to go and do it. And that's basically what he did. And he's been sort of building this kind of like,
Easier said than done, I will say. I mean,
yeah, I know, but there's, it's easier said than done, but I think he really kind of, he's been very motivational for someone like me in regards to like how to go about it in a really interesting way. And so he recently made this
also
movie.
worth noting, Thunder Road is a very entertaining but incredibly silly 50s bootlegger car chase movie with Robert Mitchum.
Yes, that is also true. I have not seen that. I would like to watch that.
Oh, it's a laugh. It's a laugh. Anyway, so go on. So Thunder Road is good, and now the Snow of Wolf Hollow. What is it?
The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
That's the Wolf of Snow Hollow. What is that?
So it's set in Utah in a ski resort town called Snow Hollow. Jim Cummings who wrote, directed, and produced he wrote and directed, and he stars in the film. He plays Officer John Marshall. He is an alcoholic. He has been sober for 6 years. His dad, played by Robert Forster, is the sheriff. This was Robert Forster's last film, and this came out a year or so after he had passed away. So it's great to see him in this role. And basically what happens is a series of brutal murders happen. Women are being murdered, they're being mutilated, they're being cut up, and people start to think like, is this a werewolf? People is this like a werewolf? And their wolf, yeah, their castle. And and John is very sort of quick to be like, no, it is not a werewolf, it's a person. And it's a really fun.
It'll never be a horseman.
It's a very, very, very fun. It's hilarious in quite a lot of places. Like there's a lot of black humor. There's black humor in Thunder Road, and a lot of that kind of plays into this movie as well. And it's really, I was, when I heard that he was going from like this kind of drama comedy kind of movie and going into horror, I was a little bit like, okay, this seems kind of cool, interesting. Let's see if it pays off. And for me, it really, really pays off. I was really engaged. And there are so many aspects in this movie where I was just like, I was like, it's basically like a Coen Brothers film mixed in with the stylings of David Fincher. And it feels like it's a mixture. It has like a lot of, it's a bit of Fargo, bit of Seven, bit of Zodiac and things like that. And it's just really, 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 really good. And it's not really a monster movie. It's like it's sort of like it's sort of like at points it's shoved to the side because it's a movie about addiction, and it's like the monster inside us and the how
very good,
that sort of stuff, and like family legacy.
Well, they always say with the Wolfman, speaking of werewolves, that one of the reasons why Lon Chaney Jr. identified so much with that part was because of his alcohol problem, which meant that sometimes at night he would transform into a different violent creature, and
exactly
wake up the next morning and not be able to remember it.
So there's a lot of parallels with that, and I think it's really cool, and it makes it more than just a normal monster movie. But I feel like I really like the way it plays on the ambiguity. Is it a werewolf or is it a guy in a suit? Like we sort of feel like John could be right in thinking it's just a guy in a suit, when actually we're watching the movie and we see scenes where women are being attacked, and it's like, it's a werewolf. It has to be a werewolf and things like that. So it really, and also the way that a lot of you know, you don't see it fully until like the end of the movie. It's a bit like Jaws and Alien. You see it like behind cars, you see it from a distance, and like you see it in the darkness, and you see just its shape and stuff. So it's really, you know, he was being very good about, you know, shaping, you know, mystery and kind of keeping the film very engaging. And you know, it did a lot of things like dealing with stress and, you know, in some ways life, and dealing with life and the hardships of, of all that stuff. Because, you know, John Marshall is, you know, an alcoholic, but he's also a divorced man with a teenage daughter, and his dad is the sheriff, and he's, you know, dealing with ideas about that.
I mean,
and
I will
also,
say there's some like well trodden paths there, but
yeah, but I think it's done in a very sort of fresh and newish kind of way that makes it feel quite, in some ways, original. But it you know, he's found a very interesting style through making a bunch of short movies, and, you know, with Thunder Road, and kind of playing that into The Wolf of Snow Hollow. So he's found a very interesting style, and his kind of the way he shoots his films, that he shoots them on really quite long takes, where like the focus is really on the main character, so you really get inside his head and really feel what he's feeling and things like that. And I think that's really quite good. And you know, and it is creepy, and there's no real cheap jump scares at any moment. Like, the atmosphere of the movie is really tense, and you really feel uneasy every time when there's a scene where it's taking place outside and it's night, and you're not quite sure if it's full moon or not. You're always thinking, is something going to pop out or something? And, you know, the characters are not superficial. They feel really well defined. Jim Cummings is really great. Like, he's, in my opinion, he's kind of a force to be reckoned with. And also Riki Lindhome, who plays the character. She plays a police officer in the movie, and she has a bit of a Frances McDormand kind of role. She plays there's like a moment where she really sort of helps John in a sort of, you know, moment of crisis. And it's a little bit similar to that scene in Fargo where it's like, you know, there's more to life than just money. It's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
And
no,
Robert,
I'm sure that there's a big debt to be owed there.
But
I'm convinced. I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's pretty good, and it's incredibly funny. Not like, you know, he. This is like big, like bursting out laughing. Like, when I watched Thunder Road in the cinema, there were moments where I was cringing and also kind of feeling sad and empathizing with the main character and his plight and all his mental problems and things like that. But at the same time, it's done in a very intimate but very funny way. Like, he's really, you know, he throws it all out there, all the insecurities of, you know, male insecurities, kind of makes it feel a bit like, you know, this is what we are and what we have to deal with and stuff like that. And a lot of the times we're not fine, and we just have to, you know, find ways to admit that. And, you know,
yeah, God, especially not these days.
Yeah, exactly. You know, don't
well, keep. No, I think it sounds. I think that sounds great. So I will check it out as soon as I get the chance.